Greetings, fellow citizens. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Songs of Syx. Episode 11, Fruits of Our Labor. Alright. Fruit tree maturity. This day is about to come. And then we can have a population boon to allow for science. Come on. Feel like a junkie. Give me my apples. Man, I need more apples. But for real, we've been sitting at like half a year's worth of food for a long time now. Not able to truly stockpile much. I'm a little tempted to... I'm going to wait until this actually yields fruit and then knock out the old fruit farm in lieu of a new one. I just don't want to get ahead of myself. So around my farms, I don't have a lot of houses, so the extra odd jobbers that I have, I'm going to start a new cul-de-sac of mostly longhouses. Not only longhouses, that'd get boring. I don't care too much about efficiency. And then in here, because we have a shared access to the... Oh, and speaking of which, oh, right, I don't have worshipping with style. Okay, carpenters. You can cut back a little bit. We also are going to want the hearth, the well, and the other stuff in here too. So let's put a well in. And a hearth. Benches. A big old tree. Space on the either side of the tree for like torches, lights, etc. Alright. Nice little cul-de-sac. Adorned with its own roads. There we go. And some open space. And then I'll start to roundify it. We're going to be digging up a lot of stone for this project as well, because there's a stony field here that needs to be removed. And we can't neglect the inside rounding. Alright. That should be rounded enough. We'll see. This is a large project, but this should add all the housing that we need for the next, like, population boon. Especially now that the fruit orchard is starting to mature. So, I gave a very meaningful project to all my odd jobbers. So the current priority right now is build another agrarian cul-de-sac. Perfect. I might want another lavatory close by. I'm pretty sure the access to the food stall and the market is well enough that they won't demand closer access. Same with the shrines. But depending on the workload of the lavatory, this lavatory's workload is not particularly high. I think I'm going to make a choice now. I'm going to move this thing here. Slightly closer to the western. And remove this one once this one's built. Also, we're going to be crapping on a Thuri shrine and not our own most worshipped at Eastern shrine. Do we? Brings me to question. We do have one Arminianist. I've no idea who it is, but someone believes in the... 1 out of the 95 believe in it. So, to that end, let's not neglect them. I'll put a shrine kind of equidistant between the two for that unpopular religion. So that they too can worship. Whoever it is. Really curious who it is. I don't know if I can find it out, though. Oops. Alright. So we have 5 out of 45 trees matured. So like a 1/9 of the trees yielding 66 fruit. And I don't think that's a full read of what it's going to be once it's fully matured, either. But that does mean that we can remove the old fruit farm and start setting it up as another orchard. Keeping in mind that there's like considerable lag time between sowing an orchard and getting anything out of said orchard. I might move this road to accommodate a double wide orchard. Move this road out a nudge. As I can fit another orchard in there if I move it a bit. Okay, the new lavatory's done, so the old lavatory's going bye-bye. Five months of food is not great, but we are heading into summer, so I think that number will get bumped up. I haven't had to do any supplementary hunting or anything like that for specifically food. I have for like leather to jumpstart our clothing. Oh, speaking of clothing, how is clothing access? It's plateaued at about 1.27, only because our clothing wears out faster than faster than we can replace it up to the 2 threshold. Not a big deal. We haven't anyone died due to environmental exposure. Another thing that you may have noticed is we have fewer immigrants that want to migrate. And that is a result of me not adding more services as the population increases. I mentioned this before, but the larger your population, the more demanding they become. So one of the something that's really important as you play is to do everything that you're doing more efficiently as time goes on, or you get to a point where you just can't offer the services that they demand. But our odd jobbers are nearly done with the new cul-de-sac build. And some of the vegetable farmers and fishermen now live here because it's closer. Which is good. We are netting 15 grain per year. I would say it doesn't have to be grain, but whatever stored staple to help you protect yourself from famine and drought, whatever it is, you should definitely be in the net positive. And the reason I usually pick grain is you don't eat raw grain, so it's one of those things that's very easy to stockpile a whole lot of and not have it count towards your current food. But it could be anything. It could be fruit. Whatever it is, just make sure to have a very healthy stockpile of it to keep people happy. So this cul-de-sac took a little bit longer because of all the stone that was here. I may want to, just to have the stone not go to waste, build a temporary warehouse just for stone. And I think I'm going to do that because, I don't know. The stone doesn't really decay very quick, but it does litter everywhere. So, I want to put it somewhere. Yeah, alright, I've decided. I'm going to put it somewhere. I'm going to put a little warehouse here for stone. And by little, it won't actually be little. So I can store a whole lot of it. And this structure might not last very long. I might get rid of it sometime in the future. Well, this is for excess goods, so we can shove it somewhere. How does maintenance look now? I'm going to add one more janitor. I might end up removing them, but it looks like there's still a little backlog of maintenance for the sea janitor. So, I'll help them out. Alright, there we go. There is the new cul-de-sac. So current priority is build new apple orchards. So we got one of them. We did reroute the path so that I can accommodate the second one. Now, if you're wondering, I don't need to remove apples as a food source from our food stockpiles for this orchard because there will be enough apples from the original orchard to accommodate the new one. So, like, as we yield apples off of this fruit orchard, a lot of those apples are going to, again, get used to make the second orchard. So I don't need to stop people from eating apples. There'll be plenty of apples. Maybe I can fit a little fruit orchard here, too. Micro orchards tend not to be that efficient. So I might not. This might be better. Oh no, it fits. It's tiny. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. It's not efficient, but it's aesthetic, and, you know, that counts for something in my book. Yeah, so here, as you can see, the odd jobbers are just grabbing fruit from the original orchard and prepping for the new one. And this is about half the trees are matured, and it's 350 a year. No, all the apples are already done for the first orchard. That's quick. And obviously these orchards have a lag time of a few years before the trees are matured, but pretty good. All right. Second janitor. Yep, things are looking a little bit less red. It takes time, right? Yeah, it just takes time. So I'll have to check back in on that to make sure that it's trending in the right direction. Okay, orchard number 2. You don't need 10 workers. Let's give you 6. I'll do 8 and... I'm gonna fiddle with these numbers until I see a workload of just about 100. Trying to figure out like the perfect middle ground for how many people to work there, because the game doesn't automatically allocate the truly the correct amount, unfortunately. So some tinkering required. Stockpiled food has gone up. Our grain has gone up. Bread's looking pretty good. No one's eating the meat. Not surprising. I don't think that we, this season, harvested many of the mushrooms. No, we didn't. Because foraging... We just had backed up work, so there wasn't a lot of foragers. And orchard number 3. All set. And I'm going to admit 5 new migrants to help with the backlog of work. There we go. Whole bunch of fruit orchards. They look nice. I mean, it follows the coastline. It looks kind of organic. In the way it's laid out. How is there just like floating? There's flotsam here from past construction projects. What's funny about that is they don't even have access to it. So in order to clean it up, I have to like build a road out that way just to retrieve the wood. Which is fine. I'm going to do it. Just so it looks nice and clean. And then remove the pathways once I'm done. Oh, actually, I have to remove them. Oh, they're swimming? Often they don't. Job is unreachable from the throne and will not be performed? Yeah, okay. I was actually surprised that they were bridging the gap, because they usually don't. So then you have to remove it out to in to get rid of it. Another useful road would be to connect the maintenance to this area so that they don't have to walk all the way around the path. Because keep in mind, like, things aren't simulated like they are in a lot of games. Like, pawns actually have to go from point A to point B. They don't... Wares don't magically teleport, and the commute time to work isn't magically completed, and, like, people have an actual home. You know, looking at you, SimCity. Where, you know, you go to work, you go home, you fulfill your needs, etc. And all those needs are obviously tracked. So if you take a look at this, like, let's say this individual, you can see that their need for clothing is a quarter fulfilled. Their work is fulfilled. Their food is fulfilled. Their housing is fulfilled. Their food stalls is 50%. Their hearths 50%. Speakers 100%. You know, they have to go out to a hearth, to a food stall, to a market. Each individual. So these things are not just in math only. They physically travel there, and that kind of matters. So, for instance, for where they work, they're not offered a lot of benches, which is an indicator that I could afford to add some additional benches to typical spaces where that individual frequents. Which, you know, I'm not sure where that is exactly, but at some point I'll do a pass and make sure that benches are readily available for people. Yeah, commute time is real, exactly. Alright, so the fruit production is ramping up, and our access to food is increasing. With the orchards going up, I'm going to upgrade the apple warehouse to a tier 2 so that it stores more apples. It's obviously not necessary now, but it will be as those orchards mature. Let's recheck maintenance. Yep. Backlog of maintenance definitely getting handled. Parts of this road network, not so great. Maybe I need one more janitor somewhere around here. But what's not being maintained is not a big deal. So I'm not going to worry about that at the moment. So the next goal I have will be to start to do research. So let's update the priority. Start researching. How is the performance at higher population? Pretty good. I haven't gotten to extreme metropolises, so I can't speak to that. But, you know, when you're in the thousands, it's pretty good. So in order to do research, you have to build laboratories, and I think what I want to do is have my scientists live in their own cul-de-sac. Just because the percentage of my population that will have to be dedicated to research to unlock a meaningful amount of research is quite high. So I know that this cul-de-sac is more or less empty still, because we will eventually ramp up vegetable farms and additional fruit farms and the like around here. But research cul-de-sac. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 10 more odd jobbers and remove this old dirt road that I am not using. And then once it's removed, add in a research cul-de-sac. And then this warehouse, bulk goods, will be for, I'll upgrade it, and it's going to be for stone and wood that, like, doesn't go anywhere else. That was always the intention. I'm still in the net positive with my woodcutter with wood. That won't be true soon. The demands for wood get quite high. Globdian pasture is getting closer to its max population. That's been creeping up. And here's the odd jobbers just removing the old dirt road. The ancient dirt road that nobody maintains and nobody uses. Happiness is barely high enough for immigration, as I am lacking some of the crucial services that they're demanding. But I'm not concerned about that just yet. Okay, so workload here is low, meaning 14 is too many. Let's try 13. What we're trying to do is we're trying to find, like, you know, the correct amount of people to work at these facilities. But I did say that the orchard was going to yield more than, like, all the other food units combined. And it's not, it's almost fully matured now, and it hasn't had time for them to grow skill up. But as you can see, it's getting close to 600-ish, which is, at the time, roughly what all the other farm fields combined would yield. For reference. So that's 13 people for 600, or 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, or 15, 18 for 600. But in terms of square meters of space, for space efficiency, yeah, that orchard is, like, way better than all the other fields combined. It's just you don't want to rely on monocropping, because people like food variety, and it's important to supply that. This is a static entry point to your city. Keep this clear and reachable. So once the dirt road, I guess what I'll do is I'll delete the job right around here so that we can keep this, like, entry point way. This is where people enter the city. But the rest of the road doesn't really matter. Hopefully, we'll get up to 12 months of food at the end of this summer. Fingers crossed. Oh, that's deep water. Shoot. All right. Just doing a little decorating while I wait for roads to be removed and everything else. So we're getting some added harmony up in these fields. Alright, most of the roads removed. That's just like a cosmetic project, but it's the first one we've ever had where it's like a major cosmetic project. I was hoping for pushing towards 12 months of food. And we haven't done the harvest just yet. And obviously grain doesn't get added to this number. Well, no, not quite there. Okay, here comes more of the food tending. So the research cul-de-sac, before I get too off topic. There's a bit of a void here where, like, it's dry, arid nothing without trees or animals or anything of that nature. So this would be the obvious choice for the research cul-de-sac. So let's go ahead and create a road up that way. So I'm going to encircle my original 2 general warehouses in roads, and then have... I might redo a little bit of the road work around the throne room. As it's supposed to be kind of grand, and it's pretty bland now. And as you can see, my happiness has dipped below 80, so I don't even have immigrants now. I'm not worried about that, though. Oh yeah, look at all those apples. Let's collect them. Okay, so the research cul-de-sac. Let's design... I'm trying to think of what comes first. Maybe what I'll design first is the research lab. And then build the houses inside of it. Or maybe the other way around. The lab's in the middle? Yeah, I'll do the labs in the middle. So I want to come up with a design that I can, like, essentially copy and paste for the labs. And unlike a lot of the other buildings, this doesn't have auxiliary items. It's just workers gathering knowledge. So, in this case, what might make sense is to design a slightly rounded shape to begin with, so that I don't have to constantly roundify it. Oops. Oh, I see, I see. So if this is my lab, I'm going to have it be a little larger than most of the other buildings. So that it... that is not supported. There we go. Columns. Support columns. So that I can just copy and paste it. Well... No, I'm going to vote against that. I'm just thinking about trying to copy to scale. So I think what I'll do is each lab will hire, I think 24 would work, so that it rounds out to roughly 100. And I'm just going to keep them really simple. Just the most basic version of a lab that I can have. That position is fine, and then open it up on either ends, and then I'll roundify it afterwards. So there we go. Our first lab. And that will hire 24 people. So what I'm trying to do is come up with like a prototyped building that can be copied and pasted a lot, because you need a lot of labs for all the research projects that the game contains. So this is the form factor of the building. And then we have roads that go out to wherever. So the idea is to put a bunch of labs in the center, and then just like houses are facing inwards into the labs. And that's where all of our knowledge workers will live. It's not a loud building, so noise is not really a factor. So it's like a planned university town. You can think of it that way. And for the first lab, I'm not going to start building the houses and the cul-de-sacs. I'm just going to get the lab and get it staffed. Alright, we're mid-autumn, and we're almost at 12. I said 12 was kind of like the goal to beat. And we have a lot of grain and a lot of apples yet to be pulled from the fields. So I think it's... 12 was a very... Yeah, there we go. There's 12. Up to 16. Now, if we can do that year after year, it indicates that we are ready for population growth, right? And that's all thanks to the orchard. The grain was the backbone. Oh, record lows. The grain was the backbone initially of our micro empire. But then, very quickly, we started relying upon apples for the bulk. And that's what I'll probably tend to do, just mixing between the two. Nice. So here's a lab construction, and we have plenty of furniture for at least 3 of these things. I'm not going to build 3. This thing alone houses 24 scholars, so I'm definitely not going to need 3. So I think we topped out about 17 months of food. And our food markets are still very well stocked, actually, of a variety of all types. What's funny about that is normally when you I mean, a lot of the players that play this, I can't speak for everyone, but from what I've noticed through other Let's Plays and the like, is they'll only really focus on the food that either their civic most efficiently generates, or that their people most desire. So for us to go to like a little bit of food of all types, you know, is weird, I will say. But I like it. Thank you for tuning in to Songs of Syx, which originally streamed live on Twitch as a marathon November 23rd. If you have any questions for me, let me know in the comments below, but please keep in mind I'm not looking for feedback. This episode was cut from a marathon, and the marathon was streamed one time only, so feedback cannot be incorporated. If you would like to join a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. And if you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. A link to my Patreon page can be found there as well, if that interests you. Thank you so very much for watching. A special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream of another game. Farewell, my fellow Cretonians.